Welcome back, everybody. We're going to try something a little different with this deep dive. You guys shared a script for an Urdu language podcast called The Path to Success. And we thought, why not see what we can learn about success by looking at how another culture views it?
Oh, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, like almost holding up a mirror,
Yeah.
to our own ideas of success.
Yeah, exactly. And this podcast jumps right into this debate about how success is different for different people. Some people, it's all about the money and the fame. For others, it's inner peace.
Yeah, and it really highlights that success is not a, one-size-fits-all thing.
That's right.
It really comes down to each person's values and experiences.
What about for you? What does success look like for you? Is it reaching certain goals in your career
Mhm.
or feeling content and fulfilled in your daily life?
That's a great question. Makes me think about that quote. Success is liking yourself, liking what you do and liking how you do it. It might be a mix of both, right? Reaching goals we're proud of, but also enjoying the journey.
I like that. Reminds me of something the female host in the Urdu podcast says. Something like, the real magic happens when you turn your dreams into reality. I love that because it puts the focus on taking action,
Mhm.
not just hoping and wishing.
Totally agree. But making those dreams a reality can be tough sometimes. The male host makes a good point about consistency being the biggest challenge.
It's true. We've all been there, right? Like starting a diet or a new exercise plan with all this energy, but then life gets in the way, and before you know it, 6 months have gone by and you haven't made any progress.
Yep. And the Urdu podcast doesn't try to make it sound easier than it is. They say straight up that the people who are successful are the ones who just keep showing up day after day, even when it's hard. They've got that grit, that determination to keep going even after a setback.
I think we really do underestimate how powerful it is to just show up consistently. It's not always about these big, crazy actions. Sometimes it's those small things you do day after day that really add up over time.
It reminds me of this study I read. It found that people who took small steps towards their goals were actually more likely to reach them in the long run. Way more likely than people who try to do everything all at once.
So it's not about pushing yourself to the limit and burning out. It's about finding a pace you can keep up.
That's it. It's like training for a marathon. You don't go out and try to run 26 miles the first day.
Yeah.
You build up your stamina bit by bit.
Makes sense. So we've got consistency, but the Urdu podcast also talks about having the right strategy.
Right. And that's where things get interesting. Because it's not just about working hard, it's also about working smart. You need a plan, right? Some kind of roadmap to guide you towards your goals.
Yeah, but life never really goes exactly according to plan, does it?
Right. There are always going to be surprises and, roadblocks that pop up.
So how do you roll with the punches? How do you adapt to these changes without totally getting thrown off course?
Yeah, well, the Urdu podcast talks about having this mindset of continuous learning,
Mm.
always being curious,
Mm.
you know, always looking for ways to learn new things and improve your skills.
So it's all about being a lifelong learner, always
Yeah.
pushing yourself out of your comfort zone.
Exactly. And this goes back to something we were talking about before, that idea of growth mindset. It's that
Mm.
belief that you can always get better,
Yeah.
that your abilities aren't set in stone.
Right. And then when you face a setback, it's not so scary because you see it as a chance to learn and grow
Yeah.
instead of like a total failure.
Exactly. The Urdu podcast actually talks about challenges as like stepping stones. They say that resilience is super important, being able to bounce back from those setbacks, you know.
Okay, so we've got consistency, strategy, adaptability,
Mm.
and resilience. But there's another piece to this whole success puzzle that the Urdu podcast talks about,
Oh, yeah.
and that's community.
Yes.
They make this really interesting point about how success isn't just something you achieve on your own, something we do together. So it's not about pulling yourself up by your bootstraps and doing everything solo. You need support and guidance and encouragement along the way.
Yeah, totally. They talk about how important family and friends are, and mentors.
Yeah.
Even your whole community can play a role in helping you reach your full potential. Think about the people who have supported you, the ones who've cheered you on or listened when you needed to talk or shared their wisdom with you. They've all been a part of your journey.
That's so true. I mean, I definitely wouldn't be where I am today without the people in my life, the ones who have always had my back. It's a good reminder to really value those relationships and to pay it forward by supporting others too.
And that leads to a really key takeaway from the Urdu podcast. Success is not a destination. It's a journey.
So it's not about reaching some finish line and saying, okay, I'm done, I've made it. It's more about this constant process of growing and learning.
That's it. The Urdu podcast wants people to really embrace this idea that success is always evolving, to see it as an adventure, with its own challenges and rewards.
Yeah, it makes me think about like a winding path through a forest. You never know what's around the bend, but you just keep going, you know, enjoying the view, learning along the way.
I love that analogy.
Yeah.
And it makes me think about how important it is to really focus on the journey itself, not just the destination.
Yeah, because sometimes it really is about the journey, right? More than the end goal.
Exactly. And that brings us to the last big idea from the Urdu podcast, which is that success really comes down to, what it means to you personally.
So you're not trying to live up to someone else's idea of success. You got to figure out what really matters to you.
That's it. It's about making sure your actions match your values,
Mm.
creating a life that feels real, and fulfilling.
Which makes me wonder, for our listeners, if success is a journey, where does your path lead?
Right. What are those dreams you're ready to turn into something real? What can you do today, even just a small step to move closer to those dreams?
Maybe it's taking that online course you've been thinking about, or reaching out to someone you admire and asking for advice.
Or maybe it's just taking some time to think about what really matters to you, what your values are, and what you want to prioritize in life.
Yeah, because once you have that clarity, it's so much easier to make choices that support your goals and to build a life that really feels successful on your own terms.
And remember, as you go on this journey, don't be afraid to ask for help. Lean on those people who support you and celebrate those wins along the way.
Success isn't a solo sport, right? It takes a team. Surround yourself with people who believe in you, who push you to grow, who inspire you.
And never forget, those setbacks are going to happen. They're not failures. They're opportunities to learn. So embrace them, adjust your course, and keep moving forward.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into the meaning of success inspired by the Path to Success podcast, we want to leave you with this. Success is within your reach.
It's not about luck. It's not about circumstance. It's about making choices, taking action, and staying committed to your vision.
Decide what success means to you. Enjoy the journey and never stop growing. Until next time, keep diving deep.